Here on the Algorithm channel, we cover the competitive way to play stands, shitposts, and of course, destroying SBR in any way possible. Today, I took on a new challenge, defeating everything I've said so far with the most unused, despised, and perhaps underrated stands in the game. Today I present to you how I managed to defeat the meta and obtain a substantial win streak in 1v1s with none other than Purple HAZE. I won't spend too much time going over Purple HAZE's moves this time around because I want to show you all how I used it as soon as possible. But as a quick overview, Purple HAZE can be obtained via a stand arrow at a base 4% chance. At the time of writing, it currently has no new evolutions or alternative skins. Purple HAZE has 4 basic moves: Bulb Throw, Bulb Breaker Punch, Bulb Breaker Ground Punch, and a Rage mode. Bulb Throw will throw out 3 spread out bulbs at a good distance in front of you. This move has a surprising range and also seems to hit way more often than it should. This move can be blocked, but if the opponent does not move away from the blocked bulb in time, they will still get poisoned. On a direct hit, the opponent will be ragdolled, a small damage applied to them, as well as the poison proc. Bulb Breaker Punch has a really janky hitbox, but if it does hit, it will place a very large gas cloud around you. This move can be perfect blocked, and blocked normally, however regardless, it will always place a large gas cloud around you despite being blocked. On the other hand, Bulb Breaker Ground Punch is my favourite move in this moveset. It is essentially an instant ragdoll and poison in a short radius around you. It comes out extremely quickly and can be used to cancel lots of moves and combos. Make of that what you will, but I will show you how to use it in just a minute. Last but not least, we have Rage mode, which increases your defense, increases your base damage, and prevents you from taking damage from your own poison. I believe Purple HAZE's Rage build is either on par with Crazy Diamond or potentially even faster. I'd have to experiment, but I know that it's definitely one of the fastest Rage building in the game. The last thing to talk about is Purple HAZE's passives. Purple HAZE does take damage to its own poison, however it is minimized, I think reduced to about a quarter of its usual damage, and therefore is not a huge issue. The only other thing worth mentioning is that poison does stack on opponents. If an opponent is hit by 2 bulbs, for example one from Bulb Throw and one from Ground Punch, 2 poison layers will be applied to them for lots of damage in short spaces of time. This is the saving grace of Purple HAZE, and we'll absolutely be abusing this in a second. That about covers Purple HAZE's moveset. I will quickly show you my spec and build so that you can follow along. I have chosen the Vampirism race and spec for 2 reasons. The first is to prove that I can win against Hamon at a disadvantage, just for fun. The second, actual main reason, is that just like Killer Queen, Purple HAZE is complemented very well by the Vampirism moves. Freezing Punch is an excellent option during close combat and allows for some very cheeky poison stacking, because even if they block the bulbs, they cannot move out of the clouds. Furthermore, Space Ripper Stingy Eyes adds to the bread and butter combo, which I will show you shortly. Life Drain is always phenomenal if they try to decide and block Freezing Punch. Lastly, the Hyper Regeneration helps greatly against the minimal damage you should take from your own poison. Any assistance to our survivability helps here, as we want to outlast our opponent with our poison as much as we can. Just watch out for Hamon Star Platinum the World, although, to be fair, I didn't really see any, because they will probably find a way to one-shot you in a time stop. With all that said, let's get into some fights so you can learn how to destroy the meta with Purple HAZE. With Purple HAZE, you have a few main strategies, but the biggest one is to get a ragdoll, any at all, and punish it as hard as you can. Let's see this for example. Upon hitting Space Ripper Stingy Eyes, this unfortunate gentleman is backed into the wall. Now, let's consider this. Our Bulb Throw will toss 3 bulbs, spread out equally. This means that regardless of which way our opponent dashes once he's up from being ragdolled, we can safely assume our bulbs will hit him regardless of which way he goes. Now consider this. 2 things can happen here. The first of which is that he does not block on get up and is then ragdolled once more. The alternative is that if he does block, he will still be hit by the poison cloud. The problem with blocking is that it of course reduces your movement speed significantly. This means that regardless of whether he blocked or was ragdolled again, I am able to quickly run up and throw out Bulb Ground Punch. An alternative to this is to then use Vaporization Freezing if it's available, and this is probably the better option, as I can then use Bulb Breaker Punch as well as the Ground Punch. Essentially, the strategy is to be as careful and precise with your bulbs as possible until just one lands. Even if you dash into them and land a Ground Punch, you still have a chance of landing a Freezing Punch on the get up. Space Ripper Stingy Eyes is also fantastic as a finisher. For example, in this combo taken from 1v1, I was able to land Vaporization Freezing, Bulb Punch, Ground Punch, Bulb Throw, and then Ripper Eyes to top it off for insane amounts of damage to my opponent. Purple Haze just needs one opening to become a very strong threat in any battle. This also means, however, that you as a player should be relatively good at movement and basic PvP fundamentals in order to properly use this stand. For example, you should not be falling for any counters. You have to remember that until you can find an opening to do a combo, Purple Haze is actually pretty weak. Despite having the tools to open said combos, an intelligent opponent that knows how to fight Purple Haze will likely be ready and waiting. If you open a match and see that they have King Crimson, your first thought should be to avoid KC's attacks and bait out Epitaph. We'll come back to King Crimson a little bit later in the guide, however. As I was saying though, you need to excel at the PvP fundamentals in order to not get caught off guard with Purple Haze, because otherwise this stand can be pretty weak. If you're seeing that they like to block a lot, try catch them in some M1s before throwing in Freeze Punch. That way you're guaranteed to either lock them in place or block break them, which is perfect for landing Bulb Breaker Punch. Speaking of Bulb Breaker Punch, a lot of the time your opponents will just forget about you and try to run out of the cloud as soon as possible whenever you land it. This makes it super easy for you to punish them with the insane range of Bulb Throw. You don't even need a Ragdoll in this case, as you can effectively predict where they're running to as soon as they get out of Block Break, Stun or Freezing. Although the hitbox is very janky, don't forget that you can use hit objects with this to create gas clouds. Following from that, there's actually a super cheesy way to use this to get some health back. If you have Rage ready, pop it and then use Bulb Punch and hide inside the gas cloud. Your Rage will prevent you from taking poison damage, allowing you to just sit and pose. This is obviously pretty scummy, but at the end of the day, it's forcing them to come to you. You could even use this as bait. Even at full HP, you could pose anyway and trick them into getting into the range of the Bulb Throw, which they might not be able to see as you use the gas cloud as a smoke screen. As soon as they get up from that, you can then hit them with the Ripper Eyes and continue the combo. A cool technique I'd like to show you is using Ground Punch to place Bulb Punch. That sounds weird, I know, but look at this. When using Ground Punch, it places an invisible solid part on the ground, which you can see in the video I'm clipping on and I can't move past. This also means that you can place a Bulb Punch on it even without any objects nearby, to do that cheesy bait that I just told you about. Furthermore, if you manage to get your opponent stuck with freezing and they are ready to perfect block Bulb Punch, you could instead use Ground Punch and then Bulb Punch on the object to guarantee poison without even a chance of getting perfect blocks. As you can imagine from that, Purple Haze's combat becomes a lot about managing which moves are off cooldown and are best suited for the situation. If they're close, I will obviously always use Freezing or Ground Punch, however at a range, Bulb Throw into Get Up Ripper Eyes will always do great damage as well. I'd also like to quickly note how good Ground Punch is for escaping combos. As I said earlier, it comes out extremely quickly and to my knowledge has a very low amount of frames in which it can be cancelled. On screen now is an example of myself using Ground Punch to escape the very balanced King Crimson Hamon Infinite combo, which the first time he managed to actually land Scarlet Overdrive, but the second time he was not able to land anything. Essentially, whether he lands the Overdrive or not, the Ragdoll from this move prevents him from pulling off any kind of combo. You can just dash into your opponent and throw out this move whenever you'd like, and it is fantastic for pressure. This should absolutely be your most spammed move as a great entry, guaranteed damage, and one of the best combo breakers I've seen in the game. Now the last thing I want to talk about is a secret ability of Purple Haze, because I think not a lot of people know this, but Purple Haze, for some ungodly reason, I have no idea why, has an innate ability to make more people mad than anyone I have ever seen before. Thank you very much for watching. I hope I brought some justice to this criminally underused stand, as it's actually one of my favourites in the JoJo series, and I wanted to get it some more love. Big shoutouts once more to Tank Flatter, who animated the introduction. You've been awesome as always. While I don't have access to the community tab yet, I'd also like to shout out Vibrant Roblox, who posted about me and joined in my recent community SBR stream. Many thanks, man. I had a lot of fun that stream. I'd like to work with you again. Please consider subscribing if you'd like to see more of this type of content, and comment down below what you'd like to see. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.